Hello, everyone, and welcome to this episode of the ASMG Back Pass. And as those who have been watching know that this is sort of an informal review of the past week's action. And particularly this weekend, we had a very important match, that being the Premier Division Playoff Final. Now, this is a game that most of or all of the teams are going to be planning for, trying to be a part of by the end of the season. It's whittled down to the final two, that being Potros FC and UMA FC. And two teams that finished very strongly, two very much informed teams, and they contested a dramatic final that was pretty much decided in the last minute of the match. And of course, it came out with Potros victorious. But let's start back to what the pathway was towards this final. And of course, we'll look at how the division shaped up at the end of the season. Look at the Premier Division table here. Of the 14 teams, the top 8 were the ones that were going to qualify for the Premier Division playoffs. And Kalanji Pro Profile, as I said before, won the regular season championship by virtue of ending the season in first place on 32 points. But right there with them was Sportros at 30 points in second place. And they really finished strongly. Kalanji Pro Profile, although they won the division, finished with a draw against local rivals there in Shiloh, SSL. And the cracks were starting to show there, and we'll talk about that in as we talk about the brackets and how they broke down. But Georgia Revolution was there. They were another favorite to go far. Dalton United always there in fourth place. They were tied with UMA FC in fourth place, but they managed to get that sole fourth place by virtue of the head-to-head tiebreaker. That is the when we have teams that end on the same amount of points, then the team that did better in the head-to-head matchup is the one that goes ahead. If it's still tied after that, then it goes to goal difference and so forth. So Dalton United were able to get that home field advantage against UMA, and they would face UMA in that first round of the playoffs. And the rest would be Limeño, Georgia, and Pachuca, Georgia, two teams that were promoted from Division I from last season, managed to get into the playoffs, which is an amazing accomplishment there. Lots of experience in the coaching staff of both of those clubs, but the teams very much the youth of the division. So a really good accomplishment there for both Limeño and Pachuca, Georgia. And, of course, in the 8th spot, there is Georgia Athletic, who just missed the playoffs last season. They were able to do better this season by getting into that playoff spot. And they faced the Kalanji Pro Profile in the first round. And we'll go ahead and look at those brackets. In the quarterfinals, of course, we see the results here. Kalanji Pro Profile did manage to beat Georgia Athletic 4-0 in a very comprehensive victory at Shiloh. Dalton United and UMA FC. And I will say that this was a game that was broadcast by ASMG. And in my experience, since I've been associated with the UPSL, probably the most amazing game I've ever seen. Not the most clean or skillful game, just everything was in this game. And it was a game that it tied out the regular period, went into extra time, the 2 periods of extra time where there was more goals scored. But it still ended 6-6 after extra time, and UMA were able to pull out the victory finally to advance by winning the penalty kicks to go on. So that was an amazing game. But as we move on down, we got to Potros, who had a comprehensive victory over Pachuca, Georgia. They were favored in that game, and they showed why with a very comfortable win for them against Pachuca. And then, of course, Georgia Revolution got the best of Limeño, Georgia, 3-1 at their home there at Old Warhawk Stadium. And so it went on to the semifinals. And again, UMA FC, another upset, beating the number 1 seed, Kalanji Pro Profile, and not only beating them, but keeping a clean sheet away from home at Shiloh. I don't know that that's ever been done. So that's quite a victory and a great accomplishment for Coach Huon and Huon Joe at UMAFC, and they were able to earn their place in the final with this victory over Kalanji Pro Profile. frustrating Kalonji profile because they wanted to get back. They had been knocked out 2 seasons in a row in the national picture by Soda City FC, who themselves were eliminated from the playoffs in the Mid-Atlantic. And we'll go into that in another podcast we're going to do with Chris Corte later this week. But so as UMA the first to place their place in the playoff final. And of course, we had Portros FC, another thrilling game, defeated Georgia Revolution in a game against with two massive teams in our division, and it was Portros who came out on top to earn their place in the division final. And so in that final, of course, again, it was back and forth, but no scoring. It was a lot of action in the middle of the field, very hotly contested, lots of chances at either end of the field. But this game was decided late on in the extra time period. It looked like they were going to go on into the extra time added on. And possibly, I was thinking, I was there on the sideline and I was to be presenting the trophy later on. And I was thinking, as we're getting close to the 90 minutes, I said, this is another game that could go into extra time and then on to penalties. That's how tight it was. And as it turns out, it was a late penalty call in the late part of stoppage time, the 96th minute, as a matter of fact, that was the difference in this game. It was a situation where Sean McKeever had received the ball and was able to maneuver himself into the penalty area despite the attempts for the UMA defenders to keep him out. And then a desperate lunge from one of the UMA players from the referee's point of view showed that it was an infraction, a foul in the penalty area, which of course caused a penalty kick, which was converted by Emmanuel Carrillo for the 1-0 lead very late in this match. Interestingly enough, although this is the 96th minute and we still had about 2 more minutes to play, we made it to 98 minutes before the final whistle, and UMA, even during those 2 minutes, had a couple of gilt-edged chances. One shot that just went wide, just less than a foot, where the goalkeeper was stranded. If that had gone in, I'm sure we would have gotten extra time, but it was not to be. Portros FC were able to secure that 1-0 victory and earn their right on to the national playoff picture, which will be this coming Saturday against Asheville FC. Now, Asheville FC defeated AC Raleigh, the team that had defeated and eliminated Soda City FC from the playoffs. And so, that's shows right there that's a lot of quality that Portros will be facing on the weekend. Should be an entertaining match. It'll be played at Marietta High School, the Portros home field. And so sort of another season starts for Portros. UMA, though, can be very proud of their progress. This is a team not long promoted a few seasons ago, able to get into the playoffs now and make it to the final. And the way that they're building the club and putting together more of their resources, the coaching staff, I think this is one of those teams you're going to be looking at next season and this coming fall season. So we'll see what Coach Joe is going to be doing down there in the LaGrange area with the development of this club. But their season ends in the Premier Division final this time around. But what a ride it's been throughout the entire season here. So that'll be it for the discussion about the playoffs. I did want to cover a little bit more on the awards that we had. It's a special thing that the ASMG staff has put together, and it's worth explaining the criteria that we're using for giving these awards out. When we announced the awards for individuals, we have a manager's award, a coach's award. Of course, there's the Golden Boot, and we had the Golden Glove, which, of course, is going to have its name changed, and I'll explain that in a moment. These are awards that have been created and given by ASMG staff. This is something that they vote on. It's the aim is to promote the individuals, their clubs, and the league. and getting more notoriety by these things by observing outstanding accomplishments. But unlike other awards, these are not strictly um, statistical awards, except for the Golden Boot. The Golden Boot is just the player who scores the most goals. That's all that is. And so, but it's a little bit more nuanced with the coach, the manager, as well as now the goalkeeping award. And basically, what it is all the intangibles that come with the job and running the job that we're featuring go into whether or not a certain team or certain individual is chosen to be promoted with the award. So I'll go into each one of those and we'll look and see how that shakes out for the spring 2025 season. Of course, we had Christopher Aranga. Uh, he's got the Manager of the Season award for spring. This is an award that he has won on a number of occasions, and it goes back to the running of the club and how well he meets the standards. And there's not another manager that has been as consistent as he in this season and in past seasons. And he spends a lot of time coordinating these things and has a high standard for Portros. And now it seems to be contributing to the work that's going on the field. So that's the reason he's gotten that award. And the next award was going to be Coach of the Season. And some people were questioning this with Alec Morrison, who's done a fantastic job with Georgia Revolution. And but what I mean by questioning it is some think we're looking at Frankie Ruiz of Portros, and which was a good choice. I mean, that would be a very fine choice considering that they have just won the Premier Division playoffs, although they didn't win the regular season. But here's the nuance that goes into both of these, the manager as well as the coach of the season. When you consider what we try to do in a pro development league here in the UPSL, is building a club and also running a club that is complete. Now, as good as Portros is in what they've accomplished, it is a singular team. What's happening at Georgia Revolution, you're talking about a complete club. And so not only do you have a senior team, but you also have a reserve team. You also have a youth academy. They're putting in a women's team coming up in the 2026 season. And so when you're looking at all of those components and see the challenges that come with running those things on the field as a coach, then I couldn't think of a better recipient than Alec Morrison. And on top of that, he's a super fantastic guy, works well with the league, has a lot of suggestions, very patient. Even when he has criticisms of things that he sees going on that he would like addressed, he does it in a very cordial manner. And during games, he's the same way. So it's very fitting that he would get that award this season. I'm in full agreement with the staff there because I'm not able to vote on those things being the conference manager, but I have a great staff that watch these games. We broadcast the games from time to time. So they see a lot of this and they see the conduct. And congratulations to Alec Morrison for Coach of the Season. And of course, the statistical award there, of course, is Nazario Mbamio. Fantastic acquisition for Portros. He got the Golden Boot. He had 15 goals during the season. A major contributor as to why they have been so successful in this spring season and have won now the Premier Division playoffs. And so that's going to be, if he's able to stay with Portros and they're able to build on that, hopefully for them that they'll continue on with their success and set a fine example there. So those were the three main ones. But I wanted to add on, of course, David Magala. He got the Golden Glove. And normally, and this is something that is a statistical one too, to the goalkeeper that allowed the fewest goals. But we've made it an intangible, and that's the reason why we're also going to rename this award to the goalkeeping award, and it's going to be called the David Magala Award. Of course, we lost David during this season during a car accident, a tragic circumstances there. At the time of his death, he was the leading goalkeeper at the time, and there was no reason to think that he wouldn't go on to get the Golden Glove anyway. But through his career, not only with Kalanji Pro Profile, but before, and the way that he works again with the Youth Academy there at Kalanji, these are intangibles that are considered in an award like that, and that's why we're going to be renaming it the Goalkeeping Award, the David Magala Goalkeeping Award, because it's going to be not only the performance on the field, but the impact that this player has for the club, not just the team, but the club, which means the youth academy, the other teams that are there, admin, all of those things, all contribute to what's going on there. And we want to encourage all of these teams to build out youth academies, to build out multiple teams, to give more the maximum amount of opportunities to the youth players that are trying to get to that next level, because in the United States it's very difficult to have that pathway to pro, but the UPSL is making vast changes in those areas. So that's one of the things I wanted to kind of go over with these awards. Some people might not understand the selection criteria, but hopefully I've been able to explain it in a way that makes sense there. And before we part ways, I did want to talk about the UPSL.com website. Now, this is another source of information that I think is really important for the fans and supporters to investigate, because what you have here is a description nationwide of what's going on in the league. There's no other league like the UPSL in the United States. A year-round league, multiple levels, promotion and relegation, women, youth academy, and also the senior men's teams, which have produced so many professional players that have gone on to careers not only domestically but abroad. So I think it's important for the supporters to really understand the impact that this league is having and why it seems to be growing more and more. And so that's one of the things we're going to be doing this week. We're expanding our podcast coverage at ASMG, and we're going to start later this week. I'm going to have a discussion with Chris Corte. He's one of the admins at UPSL in our set pieces later this week. And we'll be talking to the women's champion, hopefully later this week, if not next, who have earned a place in the national playoffs in Kansas City. And that, of course, is Steamers FC Women. And so lots of excitement. We may be ending up with the men's professional, the men's premier for this month, but we have plenty of soccer that's going to go throughout the summer, and then we start it all over in the fall with the fall seasons, both with the women, men, and the youth academy. So keep an eye here, keep an eye on that UPSL website, and you'll get all the football entertainment that you need. So thanks again for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again soon.